And now we're getting into a more clinical approach in terms of, how to um, show the patient what we can do, and also work with ZBrush and uh, show an instant model to the patient that we can use. So for this reason, I just have to log in here in a website. So this is a website, SmileCloud.com. It's basically done by Florin Kofar. Was he has a clinic and developed this software with his team, and it's a software that will generate basically like with artificial intelligence, um, like a smile that will be instant visible to the patient, and you can use this, and it will also help you to make the patient understand where we're going with this. Now, this is completely cloud-based. I believe that you create an account. I believe that there's a cost to that, and you will be able to import uh, pictures and create a design workflow. But it's very simple and it's very easy, and I want to show that software in conjunction with ZBrush, and it's quite like simple. So even if you don't want to go into the design process, it's very powerful in its sense. So let me just quick log in here. I have to stop sharing this one more time. One moment. Okay. Okay. So basically, what you have to do for this software, this is a little bit the interface. This is the case. This is my patient. You just take one smile picture of the patient, and then from there on, it's pretty self-explanatory. So for a new design, you click on new design, and I have the picture already here. So you have to import that picture. Now it's important for SmileCloud that this picture is of good quality. So let me double click on this picture. And here we have our patient. So this is the first picture. So you will be able to kind of modify and center the picture. Rotate it at the side if you want. We can basically use it like this. And then once you're happy, you go to the next panel, which is this one, and you click on it, and it asks you for the lip contour. So if you scroll with your mouse forward, it will just come closer to you, and then you grab these dots and start to align them at the lip. So here we just follow the lip and move these dots around. Maybe pull this a little bit out or not. Okay. And then scroll it out again, and that looks pretty nice. So now this patient has already a very nice smile. It's not going to change much, but it's just like for my convenience, I use this patient. So we can see that like it's very important to have a very good background. The colors have to be very good. So what I use are side flashes, standing side flashes. So you might want to update a little bit your photo material. So I felt that like, you know, upgrading the flashes, and you know, is really doing a great service in terms of like becoming a better dental photographer. So I took a course, Dr. Miguel Ortiz. I think this is a fantastic course in the US, and there's a couple of other people that have some really good courses that I would really recommend if you you know, want to practice this type of aesthetic dentistry. Anyway, so like the picture is really okay, and we aligned the lip contours, and now we're going to the next slide, which you just click on this, and it will show you a little bit a suggestion. So this suggestion has a little bit something to do with the zenith that you can move. So you can move these lines, recorrect them. If I click on these dots, it will just change the lines. We'll pull it into the midline, pull these more down. So these are references for the software to understand a little bit better, you know, the anatomy of the existing teeth of this patient. So this software generates by artificial intelligence libraries based on whatever you give it now in terms of you know, your reference points. So you can change the width, change the height, and then once you're happy, you're just going to this icon, and it's generating here a lot of libraries. And you can see like every time I click on a library, it will give me a different library of teeth for this patient. And you can choose which library you want. And this is already something that you can present to the patient. So I will just choose something randomly. It doesn't have to be like perfect. And I want to show you one more thing. I forgot about that. So basically, like you can also click on one tooth and move them individually and align these teeth. You can also rotate the teeth with control. You can rotate the tooth and see like, you know, what effect that has. So you can do all these things like on the full arch or individual teeth as well. And the rendering is really presentable. It doesn't look weird. The patient can understand where you want to go with that. Now I would like to recommend basically not to show the whole library to the patient asking which one you want, because it could be very confusing in that sense. But what I usually do is I take my photos before we take the x-rays for cases like that. And then my assistants are taking the x-rays. And this gives me like a little window where I can generate this. And I'm talking here a lot, but usually this whole process from putting the pictures into the computer, into generating a smile, takes me less than 5 minutes. And you can also, here, you can also change the color. You can go lighter. You can also match the existing color of the patient. and you can do a lot of things. So this is a fantastic software for the Smile design. Now it has also other functions. It can take your scans. It can organize you as well. But I just want to focus on this right now. So once you're happy with the Smile, you click on this button, and then we'll generate for you, um, the existing picture and your design that you came up with. And what it does is it gives you a name of your teeth that you choose. In case you want to go back to that, you can find that library based on the name. Now, what I'm doing at this point in time is, this is important in my workflow, because you can now also tell, the people from SmileCloud, okay, I like this. I don't want to design this. And you place an order and they will generate this for you. You have to give them probably a little bit more. You need to give them like the STL, a scanned STL of the patient. But they can design it also for you for some cost. But you can also import the library and download the library. So what I'm doing at this point in time is I like to design it by myself. So this is also like a point of the course that I show you a little bit how. And basically, you have now the possibility to take a screenshot of this. And you take a screenshot of this as well. So you have two screenshots. What I usually do is at this point, I take these two screenshots, put them into Keynote, overlap them on the same on the same slide, and then align them and export them as two different pictures that have exactly the same size. And they have to be overlapped with the transparency on, that they're exactly on the same size, because I will put them into ZBrush in the background to be able to replicate this for the patient for my mockup. Now, let's go further. So when you click this download button, you can see that here the download starts. And I'm getting the library now that matches this picture. And you can see this here. So the biometric library is going to be imported. And what I get is something, let me show you that for a second. One moment. Okay. So I'm getting this library. So this is basically Tooth 1.1 to Tooth 2.7. So Tooth 1.1 would be basically in English number 8, and Tooth 21, which is not here, I don't know why, would be basically number 9. So you get the full arch. So Tooth 27 is basically tooth number 15, and tooth 17 is tooth number 2. So you get the full maxillary arch exported as STL file. Now, these are all STL files. They're pretty small files, and now I can use them for ZBrush. So let me show you how. So let's get back to ZBrush. So I will just redo, make a new file here. Okay. 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 Just share this for a moment. Okay, let me just make this bigger. So obviously, like for this process, besides the pictures, it's also important that you have an intraoral scan of the patient. So same process, you load up, your 3D model, you import the upper arch here. So we have that here. Oops. We can change again the material to skin shade. And this is the arch of this patient here. And then go to subtool, duplicate. We import the lower arch. And here we have basically the upper and lower arch. Now you can see that this is not aligned the way I want. So the front would be this, which I don't want. I want the front to be the front. And that's important now because I will work with those pictures that I generated. So I turn on the floor setting. And I can see that my arch is misaligned. So I'm going to the move, brush, or panel. Oops, sorry. Click them all on and move this in a way that it's perfectly aligned, or what I believe would be perfectly aligned. Great. And now, again, I have the upper arch. We will duplicate this one. We call it again like the maxillary. Okay, maxillary working. And this is what we had as well before. Now, I would like at this point in time to duplicate the pictures that I showed to the patient for my mockup. So the way to do this is first I have to import those pictures. So for that reason, I have to go in draw mode. And let me turn this on here that it's there. So draw mode was taken from here and moved towards here. And then what I want to do is create a grid. And I want to have a grid of the front and the back. So I click on this button, front and back, and I have two maps here. And these maps are basically where my picture will be projected. Now, to have them projected, I took the pictures, did screenshots, I put them in PowerPoint or Keynote presentation, aligned them based on transparency, and cut them out for the same exact size. One with the design smile, and the other one is with the smile that we took without the design. So you go to the texture button here and you import the pictures. So they should be as a JPEG, PNG, or PSD, a Photoshop format. So we have the regular one, which is here. And then I import also the designed one. So now I have the regular one and the designed one. So they're exactly overlapping. It's just that the teeth are changing based on the design. Now I'm going back to my maps, and I click on map 1 and I click on the picture. And now I have the picture of my patient in the background of the teeth. So here we have different fill modes in this panel, in the draw panel. So this has to be basically be done like step by step. So this is map 1. Let me also import the second picture, the picture with the design. So this is map 2. But I see only map 1 because map 1 is selected. Now I mentioned that there are different fill modes. So fill mode 1 means that I don't see, fill mode 0 means I don't see the picture at all. Fill mode 1 is I see the picture a little bit. Fill mode 2 is I see the picture much better. And fill mode 3 is the most interesting for me because I see the picture very clearly, but you can see that all of a sudden my model of my patient became a little more see-through. So that happens only in fill mode 3. If I go back to fill mode 2, my model is solid and I cannot see really through this well. In fill mode 3, I can see a little bit through it. You can see that, right? Now you can change the see-through factor with this slider here, enhance factor. If you go back, it will become a little bit more opaque. And if you go forward, it becomes really translucent. So now you can see like quite well through it, okay? But keep in mind that even if it's very see-through, you can still modify this a lot. So let me show you quick. So we have, let me just turn this off. So if I move these things around, it will be still, you know, the regular ZBrush workflow. So what we want to do now is, let me just turn these all on. You have to align this correctly to make it a little bit easier for you to be able to design it. So we're going back to the move brush and we have them all on. All these things are highlighted. And now we start to align the smile of the patient, you know, exactly where, you know, the picture will guide us. So sometimes it looks like that the picture is smaller than the teeth. So we will make the teeth smaller because if we zoom, it's not going to change anything. It will be just changing the visual of the picture and the teeth. But if we make the teeth now smaller, they will fall exactly in place where the picture are of our patient. So let me just do that quick. Here we go. I believe that this comes very close to overlapping. We want to align them a little bit. Like this, maybe. This part can be a little bit tricky, but I think now we're pretty accurate in terms of you know, how it's aligned. So one more thing I want to show you, and for that reason, let's just go back and create a little bit more of an opaque view. Maybe we go to fill mode 2. So here we have a full, or maybe not fill mode 2, maybe let's keep it in fill mode 3, but let's move the enhance factor less. So you see barely the smile of the teeth. So what you can do is, let's turn the lower arch off and this as well. So there's another brush that I use in the draw mode where I basically can simulate what also SmileCloud does or Exocad does. So this is the select lasso. So select rectangular and select lasso. So if you push Control and Shift, you have this tool, you know, aligned, and then it becomes white. So here with the select lasso, I kind of can go over my patient's lips, and I can see the lips slightly because it's a little bit see-through. And the green part means that I will keep everything visual that I selected, but everything else that I didn't select, it disappears. But it's not really a way, it's just a visual tool. So when you play around now with teeth, or you can kind of estimate how close you are to the design that you want. So if I move this in space, it's actually just like the way it's aligned, that will kind of overlap correctly. So for putting it back into the default position, I push shift and move, and it will fall exactly back into that position. Now, again, if I push control and shift, I have the lasso back, and if I click outside, it will just give me back that part that I removed. So this is not really removing anything. It's just visually removing certain things. Okay, so you're not losing the file. It's just like make it look, as if it would be there. Now let's go back to the design. So the design that we have was basically on map 2. So this is the one that we didn't really use so far. So we're just looking at the original file. And let me just really make this very, very see-through. So maybe we can, get this really like see-through. So now I'm interested actually to get to the picture that was designed. So the way to do it is you just click the switch button here, and then all of a sudden, my patient, has the design. Now, there's like 2 ways of working, on this design. So you can see that, like, if I push switch, it's not even that we removed the teeth, but we moved also the midline a little bit. So I can now start working to modify the teeth the regular way how we did it with the move brush. Just starting to take our working cast. So just make sure that the maxilla are working, and you can start to move these teeth in the position that you showed the patient prior based on the design. And you can refine this exactly the way we did before, just with the difference that now you're working with the grid in the background, and you can be way more precise by using this grid. And then once you're done, you again control shift, see the result, and see if this is really something that you like to print out and present to the patient. So that is one way of working with it. Now, as you remember, we had also downloaded a library from SmileCloud. So this library is an STL library that is basically given to you that you can use in ZBrush, and you can do whatever you want with it. Now, how to import it? It's basically the same way how we imported every file. So you click on the on one object, you duplicate the object, and then you import the file. So now, let me just show you that. So we start with the central, and it will ask you, are you okay skipping the color? Okay. And now it imported the file over here, and the tooth is here. Now you duplicate this again, and you imported this to the next tooth. So let's do 12. Import, open. So see that actually what I wanted to show you is that the teeth that you import, they will align. So in terms of duplicate this again, import one more time. So you have to do that a couple of times. So this is like a little bit, the downside, that you have to import them one by one. But what you can see is that they actually line up correctly. So you don't have to import them and set them in ZBrush. They will really line up like the arch is off the tooth. And to not waste time on that, what I did is I imported them all and created one file of these teeth. So basically the way to do this, and I don't want to import all the teeth, this will be a little bit too long. You click on the most upper tooth, and then what you do is you go to this merge button and you start to merge them down. And it asks you, is it okay to do this? And you say, okay. And now you see like that one of your subtools are actually now both teeth. And you do this one more time, you merge it down again. And now all three of them are your subtool. So this is now one object in itself. And it will also, one moment, let me just move this. It will also move as one object in itself. Okay? Now you have basically the library that you had for your patient as a separate file that you can just overlay. So you don't have to sculpt the teeth to your picture. They're actually there, and you just have to align them if you don't want to sculpt. So that's another workflow. And let me just import the whole arch here, because I already put them together and connect it as an arch. Let me just do this. Let me see where they are. So it asks me again the same thing, and here's the full arch. So let's look at the arch. So we have a different fill mode. So you can see that this is the arch basically. And we have the arch as a subtool. And now we can basically move the arch around and overlap them where we want. Now, I'm sure that you can see that this arch will never fit where it's supposed to be. It's too big. It's just the standard size of what it is. Now, here you have a couple of options. So with this Bezier, you can change the size of the arch. You can change the width of the arch. And obviously, you can also move the arch. Now, let me just show you if you have something. This is a different workflow. It's basically setting denture teeth. And it shows you a little bit how you can manipulate, multiple objects and how you can group them into ZBrush and move them around to your liking, but that they still stay one subtool. So if you remember, we had this polyframe button here that shows us basically where the grid size is and how the resolution is. So if you click this on, you will see that, let me just bring this a little bit closer here. Okay, so you will see that your arch that you imported has one color, is subdivided in certain, triangles and quads. And this is the information that the polyframe grid will give you. Now, if you go to this polygroup button, you basically tell ZBrush, yes, there's one subtool, but I think there are more objects in that subtool, and I want you to make a group for me. And ZBrush is able to, where's my arch? Okay. ZBrush is able to auto group these. So this is one group. So it is just recognized as one object, but we know that there are like multiple connected teeth. You just push on the auto group button, and then all of a sudden ZBrush knows, oh, it's like different objects in this one in this one subtool. And you can take the lines off as well. This is just to click on here, but leave the fill in that you see like the different groups. And now you can see that there are different groups to based on the colors of the teeth. And what happens is, since you're in move mode and in scale and rotate mode, you don't really can draw on these things. So you can only move things. So if you remember, when you're in draw mode and you mask something, you just mask straight on the surface, and then it's masked. But in the move mode, you cannot mask straight on the surface because there's nothing to draw on. So if you click the mask button, which is the control button, and you click on one object, it will mask everything besides that object. But that's great because that allows you now to move this individually from your whole group. So now you basically have everything static, but you can basically move things individually around. So that lets me kind of like set teeth as I would do with dentures. So I can take one tooth and move it wherever I want, make it smaller, bigger, whatever I want. And I don't have to move the whole group. Now there's even a much nicer thing to this. So let's unmask this. So unmask is control and pull like a square outside. When you go to draw mode and you go to the select lasso thing, you remember that you can kind of like click on stuff and then it shows you only, you know, whatever you decided to select. You click outside and everything goes back. Now, instead of like drawing, you click on one group, you click on it once, everything else disappears besides the tooth that you have selected. Now you click on it again, like the same thing will happen, just the other way around. So meaning that now this tooth disappeared and everything that you clicked on, you know, will disappear. So what you can do is you can basically select all these, and I like to do that. You can select all these posterior teeth. They are not really disappearing. They're just like visually not there. And then you can say group visible. And now you have a group of anterior teeth that is visible and can be used as one object when you start masking them, and posterior teeth that are non-visible. So now if I click on these, I make these disappear. Wait a second. Okay, one more time. Let's just click on these. And I group visible that one more time as well. And now I have already group visible. And if I click, now I have like basically 3 sextants that I can move around in terms of mask these. Now my anterior segment can be moved. I can also move one posterior segment. So that helps me a lot. Like if you align and you want to just shorten your arch and align these teeth, you know, in the correct position. and I can move them like based on rather a segment than every single tooth. So this is also a way to work and align the teeth. And let me just show you one more time, this technique. So let's just click on these and turn these off. So if I want to work only on the anteriors, and you remember that basically um, the posterior teeth are there, but they're uh, not visible. What I can do is I can go to some panel here that is called geometry, and then under modify topology, I can tell it delete everything hidden in this subgroup. So if I do this, the posterior teeth will be really gone. So then they're gone. And let's just do this because we're not here necessary to set posterior teeth as well. Let's delete hidden. And now my subtool that I have here is just the front teeth. So last thing, how to overlap, this segment that you downloaded from SmileCloud is basically to go to your maxillary working cast. Sometimes it's a little bit, when you add structure to existing teeth, you may have to subtract the teeth that are there. So that's also something that can be done in ZBrush very easily. So now I'm going to my maxillary working cast. Let me just turn this off. And let me just also remove this because this is the visual. And mask again my front teeth that I want to work on. This doesn't have to be too precise. This can be more or less more imprecise. But I want to just show you a markup from canine to canine. So obviously this can be done to the whole posteriors. And I invert my mask by clicking outside. So now the only teeth that I will adjust are basically the ones that I masked and inverted. And you can go to deformation. This is another panel. And you have this inflate button. So if you inflate the structure, it becomes bigger. If you deflate it, it becomes smaller. So you just deflate this. And you see like how you lose a lot of like structure and it's very rigid. You deflate it a little bit, you go to clay brush and then turn the sculptress mode on, shift, and then you smooth these things out. And this is basically kind of like a quick virtual prep that will reduce very quick some structure. And now you unmask it again and you go back to your teeth. You can select the teeth. Let's color them, at least a whiter color. So for that, you have to have the RGB channel on. Let's do that quick. Fill object. I don't know, seem not to be lucky. Maybe they're just like masks. So yeah, that's what happens. So when they're darker, then they might be just masks. And let's start to move these guys a little bit, make them a little bit smaller, get them more aligned, and get these teeth a little bit more aligned here. Okay. So obviously, in theory, like you can really now use these teeth. They're pretty much you know, the teeth that you suggested to the patient. Um, they have to go in furthermore. Um, they might have to be also smaller. Um, let me see if we have it a little bit. So all these little nuances from now on, you kind of can figure out, and you can again go back and also auto group them, meaning instead of having one that you want to move, you just auto group them, make them separate, and then you move them by themselves, get them a little bit more in, you know, move them around in ZBrush. Each one of them can be individual move. You can go ahead like do that, or move them basically by group visible as one unit. So this is like now really up to you how you design it. Let me unselect this. Also the color is not what we want. You can now you can also export this to the printer. So I understand that this is not perfectly aligned, and I would like to have a Q&A session at the end, because I believe that, you know, there was a lot of information, and whoever has any questions and so forth, we can go about that as well. But this is basically like the whole workflow, from designing something, using photos, bringing it all together. And what you can do now is you can leave this on. You can combine the meshes. So I can combine the maxillary with the mandible. I can now duplicate it and combine it, or I can basically print out. So let's go to Z plugin, back to the 3D print menu. And what I would do here is just click the maxillary working on, did again the size ratio. So we updated the size ratio. And now an export option, I would say like everything which is visible, right? Because we have like two tools on. And export to separate files, nope, I want them together. So you can see that this sticks a little bit out, okay? So let's just like export this the way it is, export STL. So we call this last sample. And let's call it, and now we exported it. Let me just delete my prior models, new share. So I have, again, my SprintRay software here, model, add model. I have to look, last sample. Let me open this. And I left the teeth a little bit sticking out, so you can see that this is exactly what we're exporting. So you can see that now the teeth that we had there that actually didn't fit that well. Oops, sorry, that's a little bit. Okay. I wasn't sure if I'm sharing this. Okay. So basically, you can see that this is actually that model that we just did from our patient. So it exports this as one file, one solid file. And now you can print it out, so you can see that this overlap is pretty much, you know, a little bit the error that we had, but it created one solid model. And this is basically the same thing that we had here as well. So let me just turn this one more time around. So this is basically this part here that, let me just turn off the floor. You can see that this is basically the same part that, it took over, but made one file, and ZBrush, exported it to the print and one model. So, stop share. So this is in large, pretty much, like from a very basic workflow to a very advanced workflow. What can be done and how you can design things from a 3D picture if you have the libraries. Obviously, also the library teeth that you have, you can also modify. You can change them up, add all the details that we did at the beginning as well. So you can be extremely creative. I believe that since if you know the patient, you will bring a little bit of your creativity into your work. It's not just like having a library and just plugging it in. You have a library, you have the patient in your mind, you bring that input into the sculpting process, your wax up, your opinion and design that you want to give to the patient, and then you can sit with the patient and talk about it and modify it on the fly. And this is what ZBrush does. So most of the people that use it are artists. They bring a lot of creativity into the digital process. It can be used also with automated processes, as if you bring into ZBrush library and ready design, and you can fine tune that design. And I believe that this is the next level of digital dentistry, where we can use the accuracy and the automated workflow as what we have, for example, in an Exocad, and then bring it in softwares like ZBrush, which is the #1 software in details and modeling and so forth, or sculpting, and make it just like more individualized, more creative. There's a lot of lab technicians there, unbelievable, in waxing up, and this will bring the new master technician back into the digital realm, because it's not just moving some sliders and you can really like be creative.